Our planet is home to dinosaurs, which have adapted to various environments and play essential roles in the food chain. While many associate dinosaurs with flying, they excel on land and in water, thriving even in frigid regions. Although modern dinosaurs aren't as formidable as their ancestors, certain powerful birds pose threats with the potential to harm humans. In today's video, we'll explore these perilous birds, highlighting 5 of the most dangerous species on Earth. From their mastery of diverse ecosystems to their significant presence in the food chain, dinosaurs, particularly birds, continue to captivate our curiosity. Join us as we delve into the fascinating world of these creatures and uncover the unique traits that make them both impressive and potentially hazardous. Let's talk about the ostrich, a fascinating bird found in Africa. There are 2 types, the Somali ostrich and the common ostrich. Today, we'll focus on the common ostrich because it's the bigger one. The ostrich belongs to a group of birds that can't fly called ratites. Some other famous ratites include emus, rheas, and kiwis, but the ostrich is the largest of them all. It stands tall at about 2.8 meters. Imagine that. These birds are big and strong, and they live in open spaces like savannas and deserts. They have long legs built for running, not flying. Ostriches are also known for their large eyes and necks. Ostriches live in places that are not too dry and not too wet, called semi-arid habitats. They are well suited for these areas. Their eyelashes are long to keep sand from getting into their eyes. They can go for about 2 weeks without drinking water. Instead of drinking water, they get most of their moisture from the food they eat. They eat mostly plants, bugs, and small lizards. Ostriches aren't known for being very smart. Their eyes are bigger than their brains, which is a funny fact about them. But even though they might not be the brightest, they are very good at running. Their legs are long and strong, so they can run as fast as 45 miles per hour. When they run, they can cover a distance of almost 5 meters in one step. Their powerful legs also make them dangerous. If an ostrich kicks someone, it can be deadly. Even lions can be killed by an ostrich's kick. Ostrich attacks on people are rare, but they do happen. There's a famous story about Johnny Cash, a well-known musician, and an ostrich on his farm. Johnny Cash had a farm in Tennessee where he kept some unusual pets, ostriches. One day, one of his male ostriches got very angry with him and attacked. Johnny Cash tried to defend himself with a long stick, but it didn't help much. The ostrich kicked him hard, breaking 2 of his ribs and tearing open his stomach down to his belt. It was a scary situation, but Johnny Cash was lucky to survive. It shows just how dangerous ostriches can be, even though they might seem like big, goofy birds. Let's explore the fascinating harpy eagle, a remarkable bird that resides in Central and South America. This majestic creature is not only the largest and most powerful raptor in its habitat, but also ranks among the world's biggest eagle species. With a preference for lush rainforest environments, harpy eagles strategically build their nests close to the ground, ensuring both concealment and an advantageous vantage point for spotting prey. Harpy eagles display a diverse palette when it comes to hunting, targeting almost any creature smaller than themselves. However, their distinctive preference leans towards tree-dwelling mammals, with sloths and monkeys high on their menu. What makes these eagles formidable hunters are their impressive talons, the largest among all living eagles, enabling them to efficiently capture and dispatch their prey. A peculiar feature of the harpy eagle lies in its facial disc feathers, reminiscent of those found on owls. These feathers serve a dual purpose, not only enhancing the eagle's camouflage, but also functioning similarly to an owl's facial disc feathers. They aid in directing sound waves towards the eagle's ears, contributing to an acute sense of hearing. Complementing this exceptional auditory ability, harpy eagles boast eyesight believed to be 8 times superior to that of humans, highlighting their overall prowess as apex predators in their rainforest domain. Harpy eagles are creatures that stick to one partner for their whole lives. They get super defensive when it comes to their nests, and that's when they might get a bit risky. Generally, harpy eagles steer clear of people, and getting attacked by one is really rare. But if a harpy eagle does decide to go after you, it could be a big problem, even deadly. There's a story from 2010 where a harpy eagle went for a guy making a video for the BBC. The cameraman was trying to set up a camera close to the eagle's home, and that's when things got wild. The eagle came at him, nearly knocking him out and wrecking his communication gear. Somehow, the filmmaker made it out okay, even though he was way up in the treetops. Let's explore a unique bird species known as the bearded vulture, found in parts of Eurasia and Africa. This bird stands out in the bird world and is a bit different, but it has a close relative called the Egyptian vulture. Despite not resembling typical vultures, they share a similar feeding style. In German, they are called lamb vultures, due to a historical reputation for carrying away lambs, calves, and even children, dropping them to their deaths. Surprisingly, these birds are seldom aggressive towards humans, but they do scavenge dead bodies. Unlike most vultures that prefer rotting flesh, the bearded vulture's diet is almost exclusively composed of bones, making up 70 to 90% of their food intake. These big birds have a unique way of handling their food. They've got super strong stomach acid that can easily break down tough stuff, like bones. Their stomach acid is so strong that it has a low pH of around 1. This helps them process bones in less than a day, so they can quickly move on to the next meal. But unfortunately, these awesome birds are facing some problems. They used to be all over Europe, living happily with a large population. But by the 1990s, things took a bad turn, especially in Eastern Europe. Overhunting almost wiped them out. Now, they're considered near threatened, which means they're not totally safe. But there's hope that they'll make a comeback in the future. Now, when it comes to chowing down on bones, there's a little issue. Some bones are huge and really tough to break. So what these birds do is pretty clever. They find a bone they like, fly up high, and drop it on a hard surface. Most of the time, that cracks the bone, making it easier to swallow. But here's the surprising part. They don't just drop bones. They also drop tortoises in the same way to crack open their shells. This dropping habit is what makes them a bit risky. Imagine a tortoise falling from the sky. That can be seriously dangerous. There's even a famous story about a Greek playwright named Aeschylus. He got a warning about falling objects in a prophecy, so he spent most of his time outdoors. Sadly, a big bird, probably the bearded vulture, dropped a tortoise on his bald head. That was it for him. Instant game over. So if you're bald, you might want to keep an eye out for these bearded vultures. But for our next species, let's explore a fascinating bird known as the southern cassowary, dwelling in the lush tropical forests of New Guinea and Australia. These birds belong to a group of flightless birds, much like ostriches. Unlike many other bird species, cassowaries have an interesting twist in their parenting roles. After a female cassowary lays a batch of eggs, she leaves them behind. Surprisingly, it's the male cassowary that takes charge of incubating the eggs and caring for the chicks once they hatch. As these chicks grow, their diet primarily consists of fruits and berries found in their natural habitat. However, cassowaries sometimes display a peculiar eating habit. They consume their own excrement. The feces, which mainly consist of partially digested fruit, still contain valuable nutrients. Despite their striking appearance and seemingly calm demeanor, cassowaries are considered by some as the most dangerous birds globally. This reputation stems from their powerful kicks, akin to ostriches, and a distinct weapon, a long, dagger-like claw. This claw can be wielded effectively by cassowaries, making them potentially hazardous, especially when feeling threatened. Although cassowaries are generally not aggressive towards humans, there have been documented cases of fatal encounters. 2 tragic incidents involved a 16-year-old farmer from Queensland and a 75-year-old man from Florida who kept a cassowary as a pet. These occurrences highlight the importance of maintaining a respectful distance from these beautiful yet potentially perilous birds. Now, let's talk about another interesting bird from New Guinea called the hooded pitahui. It's a small bird, only about 23 centimeters in size, and might not seem dangerous at first glance. Generally, it's harmless if you just let it be. But here's the catch. If you try to catch and eat it, you could be in serious trouble. The hooded pitahui is one of the few toxic birds in the world. It contains a poison called BTX, and if you consume it, things could take a deadly turn. This toxin can lead to paralysis, followed by a cardiac arrest, which means your heart stops beating, and eventually, it can be fatal. Surprisingly, the hooded pitahui gets its toxicity from the same source as some poisoned frogs. Both creatures feed on toxic insects, especially poisonous beetles. Not only are they immune to the toxin, but they also absorb it, making themselves toxic. So, it's a bad idea to make a meal out of these birds, especially if you find yourself in the rainforests of New Guinea. If you're curious about other birds that pose a threat, feel free to share your knowledge in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this information intriguing. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content like this. Until next time, take care and goodbye.